we have distinguished scholars in the translation theory who has developed translation theory ahead. For instance, Eugene Nagel. This scholar, in fact, has his famous distinction between formal and dynamic equivalence. And this distinction, in fact, is similar to the distinction between communicative semantic translation, sense for sense translation. Dynamic translation is going to give more liberty to the translator to handle the original text and to handle proverbs, to handle idiom expressions. Clear? Well, formal equivalence, formal translation sometimes is going to stick to the lexical and syntactic choices of the original. Let us take an example, for instance. I don't have a man following two horses will catch neither. A man following two horses will catch neither. This is an example, that we can apply dynamic or formal translation, but dynamic translation is more accepted and welcomed by target text readers. For instance, من يتبع حصانين لا يمسك أحدهما. This is formal translation. لكن dynamic translation من كثرت نواياه لم يصل لمبتغاه. This translation is more accepted, is more idiomatic to the target text readers. The same applies to the following example, or the following famous saying. I don't have I don't have a horse in the race. لا يوجد لدي حصان في السباق. This is formal translation. Dynamic translation لا ناقة لي فيها ولا جمل. هذا الأمر نقول لا ناقة لي فيه ولا جمل. I don't have a horse in this race. Here, the idea we are after is that the text type is the key point in applying the translation method. It depends, the choice of the translation method depends upon the text type that the translator is going to translate, whether it is literary text, legal text, scientific text, etc. Here, concerning the fruits of the translation method, as I have mentioned at the beginning of the lecture. In fact, the translation theory is going to introduce or to determine appropriate translation methods for the wide range of text types or text categories. It provides a framework of principles and restricted rules, and hence for translating text and even criticizing translation. Moreover, the translation theory is going to provide the translator with some guidelines as how to criticize his own translation, and we call this self-translation assessment, self-translation criticism, where he is going to pinpoint the weak points in his translation, and before he publishes or he introduces his translated text, he is going to filter out those translation pitfalls and let us say correct them. Also, we have providing the background for problem solving for translation problems. Also, the translator, as I have mentioned, should take into account the impact of context on the translated text he is going to introduce. Also, the translation attempts to give some insight into the relationship between thought, meaning, and language. As we have language universals, we have culture universals, that is مشتركات الثقافية والمشتركات اللغوية, which are found across the whole world's languages. Before we start to translate a text, as I have mentioned, we have to read the text, understand it, and we have what we call text analysis before translation. There are certain steps for text analysis before translation. Then first of all, we have to understand the intention of the text. What is the text is about? Second, the second is the intention of the translator. Third, the reader and the setting of the text. Who is going to read the text? Is he? By the way, the intention of the translator is going to recognize by reading the text as a whole. Definitely, the translator is going to recognize the intention of the translator, sorry, the original text writer, and the intention of the translator. In fact, sometimes is distinguished by the presence of some hints in his translation. Also, we have the intention of the reader and the setting of the text. Who is going to read the text? Is he well educated? Is he half educated? The setting of the text is the target text going to be published in a journal, in a newspaper, in a separate textbook? So these are going to affect the type of the translation that will be produced. Also, one should keep in mind that the translation theorist should be concerned from start to finish with the meaning. When we translate, we are concerned with the translation of meaning, not with wording. Clear? So the sense as a whole, the total meaning of the text is the primary concern of the translator. Definitely the translator is going to come across different types of thorny areas or difficulties, if you like, translation problems, one of which is ambiguity, sorry. So ambiguity. We have different types of ambiguity. We have lexical ambiguity and we have grammatical ambiguity. So the translator should recognize this, and sometimes the original text writer keeps these ambiguous constructions on purpose. Clear? In this case, the translator should keep these ambiguous sentences in his translation unless he meets the original text writer.